Hello fellow sim racers and welcome. This is Simracing GG. In today's episode, I'm trying all of the GT2 cars in the latest ACC DLC. I'm driving them back to back just so I see how do they compare. I'm just recording 2 laps with each car, otherwise the video will become a bit too long. And if you stay until the very end, I will share my 2 cents on all of the cars, how do they compare and which is my favorite one. I hope you enjoy the video. Let's go. Okay, so the Audi. The Audi probably feels the closest to a GT4 out of all of the cars, and it is the most composed one. It is very comfortable to drive, it sounds awesome, it drives well, it feels actually pretty easy to drive, and it was quite predictable. In terms of looks, I think the top two for me in terms of how it looks. So the Audi is definitely a solid choice for me. It looks great, it sounds great, it drives good, and overall it's one of the top cars in the DLC. Okay, so the next one is the Merc, and probably the top two for me in terms of how it drives. It is absolute brutal beast when it comes to the straight line speed. In fact, I'm a bit wondering, how do they even BOP these cars in real life, because they feel very different. And the Merc, it's almost like a dragster. So it's, when it comes to under braking, obviously it's not the strongest of the cars, but when it comes to straight line speed, I mean, it's just a monster. I love the way it drives. As I said, it's probably my second favorite car. When it comes to the looks, it's just the Merc AMG GT, really. It's not much to say. It is very similar to the GT4, and overall it is a great car, a solid choice. Okay, and now the two Porsches. In fact, I'm actually going to talk about both of them at the same time because they are suspiciously similar to each other, apart from the looks obviously, but when it comes to how they sound, how they drive, they feel like the same car to me. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but ultimately both the 935 and the 911 for me probably the biggest disappointment out of this DLC. I'm a big fan of Porsche, and pretty much in every sim I love driving them, but these two, I don't know, they just don't feel quite right to me. They're the only two cars where you have to actually drive without the TC on if you want to be somewhat competitive, but even with that, they're by far the slowest for me. Again, aggressive setup and all that disclaimer aside, but I don't know, maybe obviously if you start tweaking the setup, if you spend more time with the cars, obviously maybe things will improve, but first impressions right off the bat, quite disappointing. Okay, the KTM. The weirdest of all the cars in this DLC. I adore it. I mean, to be honest, the first time when I sat in the cockpit, I was like, wait, what's wrong with the view? It just feels so weird sitting in that car. It is definitely something that I did not expect. I mean, to be honest, I didn't know what to expect, but first impressions, I was like, wow, what is this car? It just unlike any of the other cars. I like the way it drives. I love the way it looks. I really like the way it sounds. When it comes to driving, it is an absolute blast. And if the Porsches were my biggest disappointment, because I had obviously very high hopes for those, I had very low expectations for the KTM, and to be honest, it is definitely my most positive surprise out of this DLC. I definitely love this car and I will be spending more time with it. Truly something special. So when it comes to the KTM, I definitely recommend it. Okay, and we come to the Maserati. When it comes to looks and sound, it is my favorite car. I just love it. It is not the fastest in my hands, but when it comes to the overall package, generally how it feels, it drives very well. It feels planted for me. If I just do like pros and cons for each car and kind of just try to score different categories, probably the Maserati is a joint winner overall together with the Merc, and they obviously excel at different points for me. Obviously looks and sounds, I mean, these are quite subjective, but yeah, I think nothing beats the Maserati when it comes to the looks. They're one of my favorite cars in the entire DLC. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more to come.